and it's Steph Curry and Monica. This thing took a scary moment. Third quarter, Steph is doing Steph things, right? That's good, and it's a foul shot, and the Warriors are leading, and now we're in the third quarter, and the Warriors are up 5, and just watch Steph.
Yeah, I literally was filling out my notes for this morning's show, and I had thoughts about this game, and then this happened, and everything sort of pauses, of course.
Yes, he walked off under his own power. We'll have a quick update for you in a moment. Let me show you how this game ends, because the Warriors would find a way to win anyway. How good is this Brandon Podziemski?
It's been great to see him sort of get healthy and find his stride. Remember, last year he had a little bit of a breakout sort of in that all-rookie team conversation, and then hit some lulls with injuries, but both Podziemski and Kuminga being back and effective helps this team.
And Jimmy Butler effective on the defensive end with the big block in the final 20 seconds. Draymond Green had a big night. Butler had 16 points, 11 rebounds, 12 assists, and the Warriors wind up winning by 3. Here was Draymond after on Steph.
He hit that ground hard. You can hear it. It's crazy. Obviously a very scary moment for us, for him. Hopefully he's good.
I think he speaks for everyone when he says that. Curry got an MRI last night. We're still waiting for the results. Missing Steph has, of course, always been an issue for Golden State. Since Jimmy Butler got there, for whatever this is worth, they've been much better without Steph. They're actually plus 60 in over 300 minutes when Steph is off the floor. Before his arrival, they had been minus 90 without Steph. So obviously, Jimmy Butler makes a difference, Monica. But the key here is pretty simple. I mean, yes, with Steph, the Warriors are whatever it is we've been talking about for a while. Without Steph, clearly, all that playoff stuff becomes irrelevant. It doesn't look like we're going to wind up having to have that conversation.
Yeah, no, hopefully this is not anything that is that intense, but there is no doubt that the combination of Jimmy Butler and Stephen Curry has brought this team a new life. When you look at the last 15 games, for sure, they're averaging 10 steals. They're top rated in terms of defensive rating. They've been really effective on both sides of the ball. Now, without Steph, previously, there was no one else that could draw 2. Jimmy Butler is still capable of drawing 2, but we'll see what that looks like, because without Steph, you're sort of reverting back to what he had in Miami.
So, Bobby, this obviously is a moment for Jimmy Butler to take over and put this team on his shoulders if he needs to. They are currently 1.5 games ahead of both the Clippers and the Timberwolves in that race to stay out of the play-in.
Yeah, I think certainly Butler will lead the way, but Greeny, I think the X factor here, even if Curry has to miss some time, is the offensive version of Draymond Green. Last night shoots 5 for 14 from 3, 21 points. Previously, 1 of 11 from 3 in the past 3 games, and teams are daring him to shoot the ball. If he's making it from the perimeter, they can sustain this even if Curry's going to be out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm looking up the numbers here. Draymond took 14 threes last night. So sustain is really the key here, right? I mean, that's what they need to do. They need to, we've used this expression with the Lakers without LeBron. They need to tread water until they get their star back.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it is you got to look at who their opponents are coming up. The Raptors, I don't know if you want to call the Raptors in a full-on rebuild, but they're not necessarily contending this year, and that's no secret. They're getting ready to go on the road. The Hawks have they've been dealing with a bunch of injuries. They've been in and out. The Heat is obviously going to be an emotionally charged game. The Pelicans are sitting in the bottom of the Western Conference as well, and the Spurs just knocked off the Knicks the other night. So it starts to get tricky and really intense when you look at that April 1st, starting with some of those Western Conference teams that they're going to be vying for positioning with.
And I'll make it as clear as we can make it. We have no idea how injured Steph is, and there's every reason to believe he's going to be fine and back relatively quickly. Remember, he rested the other day. Just this week began, Bobby, with Steve Kerr talking about how exhausted Steph was and needing a break. He gets the day off. They still find a way to win that game, and now he goes down here yesterday. Quick final thought on the Warriors, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I do think it's sustainable. I think what you've seen with Butler, and listen, if they didn't do the Jimmy Butler trade, this team was dead in the water with Steph Curry, without. He is basically elevated. He's made role players into starters, and he's made starters into top starters here. And as I said, even if Steph Curry is out for a few games, this is sustainable. They just got to stay in 6. They can't fall back in the standings, but they got Minnesota and the Clippers right behind them.
That's exactly where it is. They've got those 3 teams, and maybe even a few that are ahead of them, fighting for that final spot just to stay out of that play-in where you've got to play for your playoff life. in essentially 2 days. All right, everybody stay where you are. Bobby, you stay where you are. Let me get your doppelganger in here. Uncle Seth Greenberg, no relation. NCAA tournament day one. We had a little matchup between Bill Self and John Calipari yesterday as you got late in the first half, Kansas and Arkansas. Boogie Fland going down. Welcome back, Boogie Fland. He had been out, missed most of the season. And this one was physical early. Kansas taking him down hard, and then KJ Adams knocking this down, and Kansas has a 3-point lead. But then Arkansas would come charging in the final 3 minutes. It's Fland getting his revenge on the defensive end, takes it all the way. That makes it a 1-point game. And then 2 minutes to play, Arkansas had made a couple of foul shots to take the lead, and John L. Davis, he would score 18, knocking down the big three. Arkansas would pull away at the end and send home the Jayhawks 79-72, the final. And by their standards, this was a tough year for Kansas. They lose in the first round of the tournament for the first time since 2006. They finished the season with a winning percentage of just 61%. That's the lowest in a season since 1989, which, by the way, happened to be the last time they missed the NCAA tournament. So on a day, Uncle Seth, that was sort of devoid of the huge last-minute March Madness stuff that we sometimes look for, this feels like one of the big stories. What do we say about Kansas on the morning after their season ends?
Kansas, they never had a chemistry. They never had a trust. They lost in their evaluation in the portal. Bill Self said after the game, he said, we've got to do a better job evaluating in the portal. You see, because recruiting in the portal is like speed dating. Not that I've ever done speed dating, Greeny, but you've got to make decisions really quick. And they struck out in terms of in the portal. By striking out, they didn't make good decisions. They got nothing out of their investment in Rylan Griffin. They didn't get anything out of their investment in A.J. Storr. And quite honestly, moving it a year ahead, they didn't get anything out of their investment in Hunter Dickinson. They've got to do a better job of evaluating in the portal. Roster construction, no different than the NBA right now. The most important thing is evaluation. And, you know, they made some bad decisions, and that's just the way it is. And when you're asking people to pony up, there is donor fatigue in college athletics. Because where's that money coming from? It's coming from the donors. Those donors that are paying these guys $800, $900, $1 million, all right? They're not used to making bad investments. So there's a lot of pressure on the coaches, Bill Self included, to use that money wisely. But you have to make a decision so quickly because the agents are manipulating the market. All right, they're saying, well, you know what? Arkansas is going to give them this. We can get this thing done if you give them another $100,000. So to me, Bill Self's group, his staff, they've got to look and do a better job of evaluating in the transfer portal.
Yeah, it was an upset that didn't really feel much like an upset last night. Meanwhile, in that same region, Rick Pitino and St. John's rolling easily to a 30-point win over Omaha as Pitino becomes just the second coach to win at least one tournament game at 5 different schools. And this sets up the matchup that everyone was expecting, or at least hoping that we would get in this second round. It'll be Pitino and Calipari. Once again, the 24th all-time meeting between these two legendary coaches, the first since December of 2016. We know that Calipari leads the all-time 13-10. He was 12-6 when he was at Kentucky, and Pitino was at Louisville. So, Uncle Seth, this is one of those matchups. As I've been, no one will ever be able to convince me they don't set these up on purpose, and they should. This is exactly what everyone wants to see. Set the stage for Cal and Pitino one more time.
You know, it's really interesting because, you know, Rick Pitino helped John Calipari get that job at UMass. And then all of a sudden, John Calipari got UMass to the point where he's playing Rick Pitino in Sweet 16s and Final Fours. That didn't go over so well. And then when Rick Pitino obviously got removed from Louisville, John Calipari became the King Prince. And what I mean by the King Prince, what he did in those early years at Kentucky was ridiculous. Do these guys respect each other? Yeah. Do they resent each other? Yeah, no doubt about it. Are they friends? No, they're not. They're acquaintances right now, even though they grew up together. It's not like these two guys are going to be sharing a bourbon or a bottle of wine. This is going to be fiercely competitive. But Rick Pitino, he's built the team in his own image. John Calipari in his first year at Arkansas, you know, it's been a kind of a roller coaster. But I'll tell you one thing, Arkansas is playing pretty good right now. Guard Kadari Richmond and keep St. John's off the glass, and this thing will be one of those classic John Calipari and Rick Pitino matchups.
All right, Uncle Seth, stay close by. We'll have much more from you as we continue looking back and looking forward in the tournament. There were 2 first-round shockers yesterday. Louisville out, Clemson out. Has the ACC been exposed? What the actual heck is happening there? I think I've got the solution. That's coming up straight ahead. Plus, it is Fired Up Friday.